Alrighty, welcome to 1.15.2, the Buzzy Bees update. I almost said busy, but that was close. Right out of the gate, we've obviously got beehives and bees, honey blocks, honey bottles, honeycomb blocks, bees themselves, and a few new achievements, and that's pretty much it. So without even thinking, let's go find some bees ASAP, because I would like to not only have a bee farm, but also create like maybe some custom trees, sort of like a sanctuary looking area, and then have bees there as well to kind of give the area a sense that it's like alive. Considering we don't have many features in this update, so I figured I would just do some building in this episode and do some of the less boring stuff that we've been doing. So let's go to the nether. I don't know why I'm down here, but let's go to the nether. Just before we leave, I need to grab one obsidian and a flint and steel just in case anything happens. So hold on. And there we go. Okay, so the reason we're on the nether roof is because we need to travel pretty far to get to a new chunk so we can find some bees. And I think we want to head in the direction we sort of had near our ice farm. Mainly because I would like to go get some ice as well in this episode from that area. That way we can start kind of building these ice highways on the nether roof. Because we're already starting to hit a stage where flying around on the roof is getting pretty exhausting, and we need a way of traveling a little bit faster. You know, it's kind of a hard decision. Like, do I use blue ice for the highway or packed ice? To basically understand like what you're missing out on, like in terms of the difference between packed ice and blue ice, is that packed ice is around 40 blocks per second when you use a boat on it. Blue ice is around 70, which is a huge jump. That is a absolutely colossal jump. That's pretty far. That's pretty fast. So it might be worth the extra 30 blocks per second to get blue ice. Our ice farm that we're going to be going towards here is not that good, but I also realized the icebergs also have packed ice, so I feel like it was kind of a mistake to make an ice farm, but it's whatever, you know. It's not that big of a deal. So, but first things first, let's get our bees. So we're almost to our portal here, and this is our old area here, and our ice farm is also nearby. So this might not seem like new chunks, and it seems kind of weird to be out this far anyway, but we actually didn't explore very far in this area. You gotta remember, we didn't have an elytra, we were on a horse, and the last time I was here, I just made the ice farm in this direction right here. There's plenty of new chunks to load if we just fly in this direction. So, okay, here's a new village. What I mean by new is a new village design, which means this is at least 1.14, which means we probably have not been here. We did not go in this area last time, so I think we'll be able to find a beehive in this area. Only question is where? I do feel like beehives are more common than I remember. Or maybe they're less common than I remember is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, the really tough thing about these beehives is that they're under the tree, so flying isn't actually going to be as helpful as we think it is. I will say a biome that is super helpful to try to find a beehive in is those tall birch forests like over here. These aren't necessarily tall, but the beehive will contrast against the color of the wood much better than it would if it was just regular oak wood. I think we'll be able to find something here. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to cut to the chase and be like, oh, there's no beehives here, but I'm not so sure there's this. We might have generated this chunk because I think a beehive is like one. Oh, never mind. Never mind. The game listened. It totally listened. You know what? We should really just sleep. This is silly. I don't know why I'm even tolerating this. Let me go. Let's go to the village. I'll just sleep there. So hello, bee. Oh. Okay, yeah, we should have done this during the daytime because they're actually in their hives here, and we would have been able to see them flying around, which would have helped us. But so I just placed this on the ground to see if we had any bees in there, but now we're going to have to wait till they come back, which is kind of whatever. But we got two, and you can already see, oh, there's another one there. I don't know how many I want. That's kind of tough to think about. I would like to make a honey farm, but then also have just bees ambiently about I think making our base kind of alive is always fun. I've just been thinking about doing more creative stuff recently. All the farms are pretty exhausting. I'm still going to do the iron farm in this episode, by the way. So I'm just going to take the extra time to do all of it. And I think the goal here is probably like 20 beehives, maybe more. Sometimes when you're harvesting honey or you're making a little farm or you're just placing it down, like you never know when they're going to attack you. And once one bee attacks you, well, all the other hives come out and start chasing you. And remember, if they sting you, they're going to die. So things can fall apart really fast, and I want a backup plan. So I've got about 19 bee nests here. I need one more, but I just wanted to mention, what biome is this? This is a flower forest. I'm pretty sure there are more bee hives here because I found like 4 or 5 in this little area, like super fast. Yeah, if you're looking for bees, go here. I had no idea it was this effective. And I'm pretty sure this will be the last one, if I remember correctly. So 18 plus 2, yep. So 20 right there. Now, there might be a couple without a bee in it, but there are some with 2. So we probably have around 20 bees, which is kind of what I was aiming for. Okay, I'm going to go get our bees back to our home base, and then we're going to go back here again and just grab some ice. Or at least I'll go to the area we were just in and go mine a bunch of ice spikes, or I can mine a bunch of ice spikes in near our base, which is actually what I'm going to do. So we're going to go back and deliver our bees. And then I'm going to go and get some ice, some packed ice from some icebergs nearby, and also some blue ice. Not in the area we're just in, because those chunks don't have those icebergs with blue ice, and I also don't want to tear down all the ice spikes, because I do like the area. And there's, I think, some icebergs nearby our base, so we're just going to go there. Okay, I think I'm just going to leave this shulker box right here with all this stuff. Just to have it there. I don't know where else to put it, and I got to put it somewhere where I can see it. That way I don't lose track of it super easily. Okay, here we go. So yeah, huge. Now all of this is packed ice, and remember, 9 packed ice is a blue ice. So even getting packed ice is a real pain, but also if we swim low enough, I mean, I think I already mentioned this, but sometimes you can really get a lot of blue ice from some of these icebergs. The only problem is this is kind of small. Right, I mean, look at this little, it's just a little channel, not a lot going on, but I think if I mine enough packed ice, we'll be good. Because I'm not seeing any blue ice here. It's kind of a bummer. Okay, so we got 3 shulker boxes of blue ice. I gotta be honest, that took way longer than I thought it was going to, even with the packed ice. So I ended up just kind of flying to a couple different areas trying to find icebergs and just mining the blue ice straight up, because mining packed ice and then crafting it every 2 seconds is like, ooh, it gets exhausting. It only took around 3-4 hours maybe, so maybe that was kind of slow, fast, I don't know. So with all the beehives we have, I wanted to make a honey farm, and then I also wanted to change this area over here. So this area, we have this tree right here, and right in the beginning of the game, I noticed, or at least when we started to make these docks and all the lighting, and then we had the field over here, it really added a lot. Even though this is already generated, it adds a lot. And I figured I'd make a custom tree here instead that has even more of the effect that this tree already elicits, I guess. Also, we're gonna need some shears as well. And I'm almost tempted to put unbreaking on these and mending. It's a little overkill, but honestly, we have the materials to do it. So I'm gonna do it. Unbreaking? This is so stupid. And let's name it Hell Clipper. Normal, sane people do this. Just so you know, this is what healthy people do. They spend their money on shears. So it's kind of funny to think that running around shaving all of the leaves off a bunch of trees is basically what Herobrine does all the time. Imagine that's what your destiny is. You're just forced to be running around forests, scaring people, and shaving trees. And leaving little pyramids everywhere. It's super weird when you think about it. All right. So got pretty good amount of leaves here. Some vines. A little intimidated. I've never done a custom tree before. I think I'm just going to start with the wood. And I think what I want to do is really have it going out in this direction. Just kind of have it go like this. So I'm just going to make these branches and they're going to be super scuffed. Something like this, kind of. I don't know if this is the best. So far, I think it's the way I want it to look, but it's kind of hard to visualize how many leaves you want and where it's supposed to overhang. So I really got to think about this. So I'm kind of getting this design here. It's a little wacky, but it just started raining and we have that conduit down there and you have to be in water to get the effects from the conduit. And I didn't know that rain actually gave you the same effect as if you're in water to get the conduit power, which is actually kind of cool. Not entirely useful though, I would say. Obviously, because I'm not underwater, I don't need to breathe, and I don't think it's going to make me necessarily mine faster. Maybe it'll make me mine faster on land. Nope. Okay. Here's the design we have going here. This isn't really, it's going. It's a little rough. I'll just say that. To hopefully make up for all these weird gaps and stuff, I think I'm going to try to kind of make this whole thing hang, because right now it has an upward, like everything's moving up. And so I think if I manage to get this to kind of hang down, you'll see what I mean in a second here. Okay, now that I'm looking at this is actually a bit better when I come down here. But basically what I was going to do, kind of bring the leaves down, just kind of pull shape downward. So you can already kind of see the effect it has here now, where the leaves are hanging down. Because honestly, this is like first try, and the leaves I had going, or the branches I had going, were not very good. I also think I should probably make more of a base here. It makes it look a little bit more fortified than just a little pull. And then maybe torch, or even maybe a lantern somewhere. Okay, so I added a bit of a top to this, and I think that changed it quite a bit. Because before, this side was pretty ugly, and it looked really, really flat. And so this tree isn't perfect, but it's better than I thought I'd do. It's still not great, but it's honestly not that bad. So I think I'm going to add some vines to this as well. Okay, that is basically all of the vines I had. So we're going to have to kind of wait this out, but what we're going to do is go grab those bees as well. Okay, so we'll get some oak fences here and put some lanterns with this, like right here. We could have one. Like we could have one right here. Okay, there's our lanterns. That looks fairly good. Hopefully this is enough to make it have sort of a nice feel. And then what we're gonna do is, since we got our bees with us, we also need to plant some flowers because bees need to pollinate. Since we have basically 0 flowers in the area, it's gonna help us with the bees because it kind of allows us to place flowers in places that we want the bees to go to, so they kind of have like an NPC path, if that makes sense. We can sort of have them in a contained area and they'll always kind of be here, and it'll keep that alive feeling. So I think we're going to place one there, and probably one there. So luckily I did pick up 39 of these rose bushes, but I also realized that maybe that's not going to be the most reliable thing in the world. So I still have our bone meal. So I figured I would just actually add in grass here, which seems crazy, I know, because it's old vanilla generation. But normally grass is kind of an afterthought. But in this area, there's no grass at all. So to actually see some makes it stand out, and you kind of appreciate it a little bit more. Okay, something like this. Yeah, that changes the landscape totally. And so I think we're going to add these rose bushes in, because obviously the bees have enough flowers, but I think maybe having some different ones around will make the area kind of pop a little more. So you can see how much different the landscape is, and the tree with all the vines coming down, the lights and the bees adds a really, really kind of cool vibe to the area that I kind of imagined when I first saw the oak tree there. So hopefully this is much, much closer to what I imagined in my head. So I'm not really disappointed. I'm going to get some more bone meal, and I'm probably going to do some of the area around back there. And then I'm going to have it sort of cut off, or slowly have the grass wean away until we get to here. Because I feel like I don't want to end up putting grass all over here as well. Just because this is the one area with grass, it does make it kind of look out of place, but I think for the most part it's okay, because it kind of makes sense in a context. That area is like wild. Here, this is a clearly developed area, so not having grass actually makes a lot of sense. Actually, before I get the bone meal, it's becoming nighttime, and I figured I would kind of show off the feel it's going for in this area. And, you know, having the light above the water here like this from this lantern and the vines hanging down just adds a really cool vibe to the whole area that I think makes it feel even more alive. So if we kind of zoom out, this is what it looks like. Pretty cool. Okay, so I just added a little bit more grass back here just to give the illusion that the brush might keep going back, and that we don't need to cover the entire landscape in grass. So looks honestly, it looks pretty good. Okay, so we have all of this done. Now I want to make a honey farm, and I think I want to make it automatic where it's constantly collecting and I don't need to do anything manually, because I'll probably need a lot of honey blocks in the future, maybe for an auto sorter or some redstone machine that I might want to use. So I want to have it just constantly going. So we're going to build the honey farm in this chunk, or in this area at least, so I have it rendered. That way it's always going. So maybe what I could do is I could actually make the honey farm kind of in this area and make another cleared out area, and then make another building that I can put just to surround it, similar to the ones we have here in this farm. That way it just seems not so messy, and it's included in the farm theme we have going on here. Also, this area is not an area that you're always looking at. Okay, so I've got all the materials here to make this honey farm. The only limiting factor was getting honeycombs to be able to make these beehives here, but basically this is kind of where we're going to put this, and I've already started, obviously. And then we're going to build like a stone, kind of stone structure similar to the one we have here for all this hay, just a bit wider and probably a bit taller. And it'll just go right here, and there'll be, I think I want to make a path that goes down here. But I'm probably just going to cut to when I get this done. It's pretty boring, but all that's really happening is you'll have a bunch of bees in these beehives. They'll go out, and this will all be enclosed. So the bees will go to their plants, they'll come back, and underneath the blocks are minecart hoppers that will collect the honey and the honeycombs, and those will go through these hoppers and to this chest, and that's how we get our honey. Okay, so here is all of the main functioning done, and all the bees, and I just had an entire time. I actually hit one, and they all attacked me and died, so I had to get them all back in there again and rebreed them like 3 different times. I don't want to talk about it. But here's the frame. You can already see this point sticking out here, and it's really tough. Figured it would be kind of smaller, but that's not the case. So I'm gonna have to kind of reposition this tree here. I think this is how it worked with the fence. I can't remember exactly. Yeah, there we go. Okay, wow, perfect. Literally exactly how I wanted it oriented as well. That was a nice fix. It's a little close to the path, but it gets the job done. I think I might also kind of shave this side down as well. Something like this. That way there's still room outside of the stone there, and it doesn't look totally weird and hanging over like that. So it just seems a little bit less out of place, because it's starting to become kind of an eyesore, and I didn't really like the direction I was going. So okay, so got the roof on. Actually, I think I want to put some slabs here, but looks better. I was trying not to make it like an eyesore, so hopefully that's not too much. At least from a distance, I'll be able to tell how much this will stick out. So hold on. Not bad. Yeah, that's not necessarily like in your face, so that's pretty nice. Okay. So we got all that blue ice, so let's go build that highway to the portal going to the ice spikes biome. I think I want to have a temporary road that will just serve a basic functioning to get you there, because in the future, I talked about that nether hub I wanted to make. I've been thinking about when I want to implement that. For right now, I don't want the road to be a completely defined starting and ending because I kind of want to build a tunnel around it. So I'm just going to build it wherever it works. And then in the future, I'll probably like break some of it and rearrange it to how we want. So right now it'll be kind of a temporary thing. So for me, I kind of like the luxury of having a 3-wide highway with blue ice. Which is very expensive, but I like to do long-term investing. So in the end, it pays off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is instead of starting the road here, I'm going to start it from the portal to where we're at right now. So I just have to remember our coordinates and just fly to the portal. All right, so let me get all this stuff because we're at the spot. And what I'm going to do is sort of go like this, where, I mean, obviously it's a 3x3, but for the whole spawn proofing thing, I wonder if just having slabs like this will be enough because a ghast needs a lot of room to spawn. So if it has a 3x3 area, is that gonna work, or do I need to place buttons on the ice here, which does not interfere with boats at all, by the way, so we're like totally good. That's the only real concern I have. Now keep in mind this still might not be enough ice to get us all the way there. I'm just gonna do this much because even if we don't have enough, it's gonna be so much faster anyway. So even if we don't have enough, it's going to make this entire process a ton easier. Well, I've placed all of the blue ice and seems that I am not very close. I think I'm still going to get the guardrails going. I probably will get blue ice off camera for a while. Okay, so we do have some mobs spawning. But yeah, this is super fast. 70 blocks per second is absolutely insane. So once I get all the rest of the slabs here on, I'm probably going to leave this where it is for this video. I might do it off camera because it'll take quite a while to get out the ice and come back and do it all over again. So yeah. All right, I think it's time to make an iron farm. I have most of the materials, or at least most of what I would need, and I think I'm just going to go find a village and then build the farm out of the villagers there and sort of make a breeder while I'm there, because I'm probably going to need more villagers than what's in the village. Okay, here's a relatively new village. I have a bell here, and then what I'm going to do is, if we break all the beds in the village and we just place like one, and when we hit the bell and have it nearby the bed, all the villagers will run to that bed. If there's only one, we can put that bed wherever we want, and essentially they'll all flood into one area that we want them to be in, and then that'll kind of be our villager breeder. So I gotta make kind of an enclosure here. Okay, so what I've done is I have a bunch of compost juice here, which I'll use later for the iron farm, but I also just use it to lure them in. I can't remember if they needed jobs or not. I just gave them a composter anyway. And then gotta break all the beds. Okay, so I think all the beds are broken. I'm pretty sure all their jobs are gone. So I press this bell. There's one. Okay, they're going somewhere to a bed. Okay, this one's going in. This one's going in. Okay, that's a couple. Okay, so we got 2 new baby villagers, and I think we're gonna have a couple more here. Now, I think I'm gonna need 4 villagers per sort of tile of the iron farm. So, and I think about how much iron I'm gonna need. I probably want to get in the thousands per hour. It might change. I don't know completely what I'm gonna do yet, but I at least know there's gonna be a bunch of tileable farms. And the output of those farms will go through a water system, a water transportation system where all the items go through, and then they go into a giant storage area. In theory, I think if I had around 20 villagers used, I should get in the thousands per hour, which is what I'm going for. And, you know, 1,000 per hour is like 111 blocks. So nearly 2 stacks of iron blocks an hour. If it's 2,000, then we get 4 stacks an hour, and that's kind of It's kind of the number I'm shooting for there. Okay, I think I've got 22 villagers here, which is probably enough. So I think I'll build the iron farm around here. I'm not that far away from our base, so it's not too much of a distance to travel. But yeah, pretty much there's not really too much to explain here other than how I said it would be designed. So I'm just going to do it all. It'll be very tedious. And hopefully it goes as well as I wish it does, but it probably won't. So, all right. I've finished almost the iron farm. I mean, you can already tell this was a project because there's different colored blocks. You're probably guessing what these are, but these are basically the smallest like iron farm modules that I could really find. At least through a quick glance, I'm sure there might be a smaller one, but for the most part, this is good enough. So I made 6 of them. Each one of these does 400 ingots an hour, so we'll have 2,400 ingots an hour. I think we do have a little loss. Sometimes the iron golems die, and they get stuck up here where I'm kind of looking at because they spawn inside of some blocks, and then it doesn't really work out. So, but I gotta say, it's been absolute hell. It's been an absolute horror show. I died to an iron golem. I've had my zombies inside here die maybe 7 different times. I've had multiple villagers accidentally jump off the ledge here and die. By the way, when I died, it was to an iron golem. I was taking my armor off because there's thorns on it. And since I was like kind of training the zombies around, having them follow me, I didn't want them to hit me too much and die, right? So I'm completely armorless. And then I go to mine a block that an iron golem is spawning because you need to make a platform going from here out to where you need to get the zombie in so it can walk towards where it needs to go. But the iron golem that's about to spawn sees this pathway that you create as some spawnable blocks, so it spawns on it. And I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta mine the block it's on so it falls. That way the zombie doesn't get killed. I go to mine the block, I miss and hit the iron golem with no armor on, and he hits me once and I thrown up into the air and then hit the ground and die. So yeah, but what happened was there was a bunch of cactus down here and my items flew into it. Luckily, I did keep all my armor and my elytra. I think I lost something. I know I lost a decent amount of stuff. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was an entire shulker box. I can't remember what it was though, but as of right now, our shulker boxes aren't that exciting. The only thing I could really see in our shulker boxes that is like the most expensive thing is actually like a lot of the iron blocks I brought, and that obviously isn't a problem anymore when we have all these iron. So it's been hell. So just going to make the item collection system in a little bit, and this will all be done. So thank God we're done with this. I am so done with this. Alrighty, we have the collection system done. Besides like a couple of ladders there, by the way. I believe everything's spawn proofed. So this is kind of what I meant. We'd have all these lanes here where all the iron would go through. So they're just going from the output. Sometimes you need ice to get them in the right spots so that when the items land in the water, they have enough momentum to keep going. I think I fixed the problem where the iron golems were getting on top with just kind of bulking the roof on them up. I mean, there was never even a roof on them in the first place. I made that and then experimented and they still got through. So I made it bulkier and they haven't got through yet. So I think we're good and we have the full rate and our entire collection system is working pretty well. So you'll see the items here in a sec as that one dies. Here's some now. This goes down there and you can see down there we have some hopper minecarts on top of these hoppers. Hopper minecarts intake items like I don't even know how many times faster, maybe 7 times faster than a hopper. So basically, once an item goes and hits this hopper, it is instantly going through all the hoppers all the way down to whichever chest isn't full. From what I looked at from someone else's design, like each one of these modules is supposed to be 400 iron ingots an hour, but you know, that can kind of mean anything, you know. So I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't actually 2400 and it was a little bit less, like maybe like 1900 or 1800. I think that would be a little bit more accurate. But either way, we are done. That was hell, but we did it. So I've already AFK'd a little bit. Just before I left, I just AFK'd for a while I was doing something, and so this is about 3 hours, I think, something like that. This is more than. This is probably around 6,000, I think, if I do the math here. 6,246 iron. So this little dungeon here, this little pocket, I think I want to get rid of this. It's kind of an eyesore, you know? It's not exactly nice to look at, and it sticks out like crazy, so I think I'm going to get rid of this. Something like that. Maybe I'll extend this. It makes this kind of hill here look a little bit more natural. Like that. I think that's... Yeah, that looks way better. Okay. Let me fly away and look at this. Because this is kind of... Yeah, that looks much, much better. Okay. Also, I did add a gravestone here. I need to add the torches. This is our 9th death, the one I had at the iron farm. And the last time we died, that was 10 versions ago, which is kind of crazy to think about. I also AFK'd overnight with our iron farm, and we have around 14,000 iron right now. So we're going to have a lot of iron for a long time, and we probably won't need to get much more. I probably will anyway, just for, you know, who knows what happens to the farm, if it breaks in the future, if it won't. So we'll have an insurance amount. Yeah, I think it's going to do it for this one. I will, next time we're going to be in 1.16, which means we get netherite. We're going to do the nether hub, and we're going to do an item sorter in the nether as well, using all the iron we got for the hoppers. So yeah, it should be good. I'll see you in 1.16. Ciao.